Evening and welcome to our first real Down the Lane podcast this year. We obviously did one when Tommy was announced as manager, but we're now back with what we're going to highlight and name the nightmare at Plainmoor. Bobbie, you were there. Miles, you weren't. What was your initial thoughts? Just quick thoughts, Bobbie.
But it was painful. I mean, it hurt. It was not pretty. It was ugly, and it damaged sort of everyone's thoughts on how the season was going, and it just sort of put a nail in the coffin of what's going on. I mean, we haven't won at home all season. We've lost 7-0 at Torquay. We've got the current squad is rather, let's say, interesting, and it's just a bit of a mess at the moment.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, first Borough game I've ever intentionally, but I walked out on the fourth goal. I couldn't watch anymore. I just felt that, yeah, it wasn't good. Before we go into that, though, obviously, after Saturday's performance, there was a lot of action on social media, on different forums, and I just want to highlight something before we go any further, and get your thoughts on it as well. But a couple of the posts that I saw on Saturday night on the Borough Forum were bang out of order. And rightly so. I believe there's at least one, if not two, people who have been banned from the forum for their posts. You got to remember one of them was targeted at Alan. Now I know Alan doesn't look at the forum, but I know his family do. And when I include his family, I'm talking about his 80-year-old mum, and to read things on the forum, for her to read them sort of things, it's not good, and for anybody, and it shouldn't be done. So I just want to highlight straight from the start that a lot of what we've read. Listen, we all post things sometimes in the heat of the moment. We all say things, but the personal attacks, and obviously then the statement came out from Simon and different things, and I totally agree with what Simon said. There is no reason for personal attacks. I've approached Alan, Simon, Adam, John. I've approached them many times when I need to ask a question about what's going on at the club. And anybody that's watching this, if you've got a question, just go and ask them. Alan might come across sometimes as really hard to approach, but he's not. If you go and talk to him, you'll see that actually he will sit there, he will talk to you. Obviously, match day's difficult if he's busy doing work stuff and whatever else. But if you're there early enough, he will sit and talk to you. He will. And Bobbie, you found that Friday night, right? So we had a little chat with Alan on Friday night. Three or four of us, and what do you find with Alan on Friday night?
I mean, I've never had a sit down with Adam personally, but we asked him questions and he gave us answers. So it just shows that you shoot your shot and you're going to get a good response back from him.
Exactly that. So that's kind of all I'm going to say on the whole abuse thing. I hope it stops. It has to stop. We've always been a very family-friendly club, and for that to creep in, I understand people are frustrated. Listen, I walked out before half time. That's how frustrated I was. And the nightmare for me didn't end there, because obviously my car got broken into on the Saturday night, so we lost a load of gear out of the car as well. So definitely 100% a weekend to forget for me. So right, moving on to the game. Miles, obviously you wasn't there. You no doubt listened to it on the radio. How many minutes did you get to before you turned it off?
I'll probably get absolutely slandered for this, but I was out shopping.
Game's gone. Game's gone.
So I'd
I
like
think
to
I called you at
apologise.
half time. I called you at half time, Miles, and I was.
I called you, to be fair, to get an
No, yeah.
update. on what's going on. But yeah, I was out shopping. Had a nice Saturday other than the misery coming through my phone. Yeah, I mean, I just to be honest with you, before the game, I was saying to my family I was with, I was expecting us to lose, and I did a preview for Torquay Talk, a podcast by Torquay, and I put on the preview that I thought we'd lose. I said it'd be 2-1 on the preview to Torquay. So I thought they'd have too much, and going away to Playmore is never easy. Like, it's a big crowd, they're a big club, and they've got a great squad. However, there's the manner in which we crumbled. I mean, I didn't obviously see the entire game, I've watched the highlights. But particularly, I think between either the fourth and the fifth goal, or fifth and sixth, we just like conceded. They run for a goal against Cam and scored, and then literally they cut to the kickoff. We then gave the ball away straight away, and then exact same thing happened again. I mean, like it's just unbelievable, really.
Yeah, that was 5 and 6. That was goal 5 and 6.
5 and 6, right? Yeah, so like a minute or two in between the goals, and like you just look at the team, and you just feel like you just need a few more leaders in there. Like people are gonna say, like, right, let's just we're 1 or 2 nil down. Let's just put our foot on it, slow the game down, get ourselves back into it, rather than sort of rushing things, giving the ball away, and then the game gets away from you. As soon as you can see like 2 or 3 goals away at any ground, but especially Torquay, you're gonna find it incredibly difficult to get back into it. And I think we just showed our naivety, really, to be honest with you. And it could have been more than 7, sadly. I mean, we got to 7 at what, 60, 63?
Yeah,
Something like that.
I mean, we went half an hour without conceding, so there's a bonus.
I mean, yeah, that's a small positive. But yeah, I mean, at 63 at 7-0, you're thinking it could be 10, and it wouldn't be unjustified, which is it's absolutely crazy for a full-time team who have had most of the week to prep for the game. Also, had a game on the Tuesday night, but most of strong players got rested. The main core of the squad got rested for that game. Yeah, just lost for words, really, to be honest with you.
Pete, your thoughts?
Just echo Miles's, really. I mean, after they sort of scored 5, I didn't really give two, to be fair. I just was emotionless.
Yeah, it's going numb, don't you, really?
Huh?
It's going numb, really, with it, don't you?
Yeah,
Like,
it's not even numb. It's just like you just feel disappointed. Like it's just emotionless is what I felt. It's just hands in the air at full time at the player. It's just like, what can you do? I mean, Tommy. I mean, I'll talk about the fans from that game at all. You can just tell from the sort of the first even 30 seconds of the game, they already had 2 shots on goal, and you could sense from the fans it's gonna be one of those games, and everyone was shouting at players to wake up and switch on, and then you look at their first goal when Lather stepped up one position, and they'd run down the left hand side, cut inside, and scored. And they look at their goal 4. The bloke stepped inside and again put it bottom left. So I wouldn't say it got ugly between fans, but it was erratic. I would say it was rowdy. There was a lot of strong words used. I'm not gonna say anything that, and then as the onslaught continued, 5, 6, and 7, it's just you got people saying we want 8, and it just doesn't look good enough. It's just a bit weird. And then you got full time, and people are right to their opinions at full time. You can say what you want, but you just got to be careful what you say. You can't cross the line with it. Obviously, Tommy sort of made them stay there and look at the fans and look what words were being said. There was obviously a couple that were said a bit too much and was a bit close and a bit of across the line, but yeah, weren't pretty over the weekend, was it?
And I mean, going back to what you said there about conceding 2 early doors, I mean, we could have been 3-0 down before we were 1-0 down.
It should have been 10.
When you look at that first goal, when you look at that first goal, he's had a chance, and then there's I mean, I forget who it was, but someone keeps it in when it could have gone out for a goal kick, and you think just let it go out, and we've kept it back in, and we haven't even cleared it, and it's just like, well, have another go, and it just seemed, it seemed to be, and then we was under the cosh, but we didn't concede until I think it was like the 30th minute. And we were under the cosh. I was one of those that was shouting, "Look, track back." I ran a boys' side 20 too many years ago.
The underage,
25, 26 years ago, and I started at under 8s, under 9s, and the first thing I taught them whatever position they played, the first thing I taught them was to get goal side and to track back if you lose the ball. And, we had players there that, for me, well, they weren't getting goal side. They were leaving gaps. They were leaving players, unmarked. They weren't tracking back if they'd lost the ball. They were just sort of sauntering back. And it was like, and that, I think the if I had £1 for every time I heard the call "wake up" on Saturday from our section of the crowd, I'd have enough to refund everyone's ticket myself, because it was, it was just listen. But at the end of the day, we have to move on from that, right? We have to move on. We have to hope that the players have learned their lesson, and look, we're all feeling bad. Them players must feel worse because they are the ones. And if they don't feel worse, then serious questions need to be asked. Because if I was a player, I would be absolutely gutted at getting turned over. Not turned over 7-0. Sometimes we've lost 7-0 before, couple of times we've had, listen, I'm a West Ham fan as well, so I know what a battering is, and we've been battered by some teams. So have Eastbourne. You get on with it, right? But when there just doesn't seem to be the performance that you expect, and the level that you expect them players to play at, that's when it becomes an issue for me, and that's when I get upset, and that's when I walked out the ground at 4-0. I just couldn't watch anymore. I mean, I did say I'm going at 3, but I managed to stay until 4. But yeah, I'd had enough by then. It was never going to change round, and if you don't like what you're watching on the telly, you turn it off, don't you? So
Yeah, it's not even a performance level. Like, obviously, every player can have a bad game and teams can have bad games. You just want to see a level of fight from your side, right? Like, you want to see him get into tackles and, be aggressive and assertive in the game. And it didn't like we had that at all. I mean, Tommy asked them, I think, in the changing room, afterwards, like, if they even should have got paid. And a couple of them said they should have done. Which, honestly, I think sort of fair enough, because at the end of the day, they are still, people who have got to earn a wage, right? But as a fan, we expect a bare minimum of, like, effort. If you're going to go down, at least go down fighting. And I'm not sure enough of them care, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not going to name names, but I've seen, like, some of them just look quite, like, sort of light-hearted after a bad result. Like, some of them do genuinely really feel invested in it. Like, for example, like your Carters, who are massively hurting after the playoff semi-final loss. I remember speaking to Freddie in the bar the week after that, and he was like absolutely gutted about it. He didn't really have a smile on his face. But I think some of them they've just come in, they just want to have full-time football, and then develop themselves and get a wage, and they don't really like care. I'm not expecting like the Borough to be like the be all and end all for them, because I get, like, we're not Manchester United, so it's not everyone trained to play for us. But still, like, as someone of integrity, you've got to put a shift in for the badge or workplace that you're putting. You put yourself out there for every day. Like, we go, all three of us go to work every day. I mean, personally, I love my job, but not everyone does have a job. But you still sort of expect the minimum level of commitment. I just think we didn't really see that from the team, which is the most disappointing thing. And it's not like the first time like it's happened this year. Not in terms of batterings, but we've had games where we're just absolutely like terrible. Like Maidstone, we were awful in that game too. So yeah, hopefully they're going to get a massive rock up the backside, and we'll get a few more of Tommy's players in. Who, to be fair to Tommy, like, the signings we've made so far have been good from what I've seen. Like, I love Kai. Like, Kai's one of my favourite players we've got currently. Absolute quality. And you can tell he cares. Like, when we were at Dorking last Saturday, he put a corner in. I don't know what the score was at the time, probably 3-1 that point, 3-2 maybe. And he put a corner in, completely mishit it, and he just swore, and he looked so annoyed at himself. And I was like, well, that's, obviously we want delivery to be better, right? We're all frustrated in that, but at the same time, it's just nice to see someone that actually, like, really is bothered about it, rather than just sort of swinging the ball and thinking, oh well, doesn't really matter. So yeah, we need more people like Kai, and Phipps looks like a good leader in the team too. I haven't seen Mullins play yet, but hopefully he can have the same sort of quality. Yeah, I'm sure I put it right, but right now we're hurting, right?
Yeah, big time. And you know, I mean, I think you know what went on in the dressing room there, where you say about certain people getting paid. I mean, obviously it's only hearsay, but you know, I listen. At the end of the day, um, you know, I know one thing. I wouldn't have wanted to be on that coach on the way back because I bet it was quiet. And you know, it must have been. I mean, I would be absolutely demoralised if I was a footballer and I'd just gone and got turned over like that. And I think, you know, um, yeah, it's just. But look, we move on. We move on. We've been turned over. I think it has probably highlighted to Tommy where he needs to strengthen a little bit more. I think going into the game, we'd you know we got a couple of signings in that looked good, and we thought they would strengthen the side. And you know, I think going into the game, we looked at it thinking that well, we were definitely thought we were stronger. But then, of course, you've got the Torquay bounce as well. Um, and I mean, I've spoken to a couple of Torquay fans who have said we haven't played that well all year. We have not played that well all year. All year. Now I think we let them play well, and I think that gave them the you know it gave them it allowed them to step up their level, and maybe they didn't step it up that high, but because our level was so low, there was a gap between them. But remember, you know, they just had a situation where two players. It was announced on Friday. Two players were well. One was banned for 4 weeks, and one's injured, can't play for 4 weeks. And there was rumours about what you know what had gone on there, and different things. So I think you know maybe you know going around their changing room, they were like, "Come on, let's do it for the skipper." You know, who wasn't there. Let's do it for whatever. And they came out and you know, within the first 10 minutes, you could see that there was more. And, you know, we were 1-0 down then. We could have done something about it, possibly.
We had a chance.
But
We had one chance.
yeah,
One chance. Woo.
7-1.
um, but I mean, it just, you know, once they started flowing, um, I think, you know, there were so many holes at the back. There were so many holes. And to me, it
Everywhere.
was to me it was like nobody knew what their job was. You know,
I think that as well,
nobody knew.
Barry. Like,
Sorry.
sorry, mate. I think tactically, like as well, Tommy's got to take some blame from that too. I mean, I didn't see the whole game, obviously, but like to start off of a midfield away at Torquay of was it Arthur, Tate, and Kai in the midfield three
It was a two up.
with
It
two
was
up top, like
five
and
three
then
two.
like I mean I personally like Dan. Dan's had a bit of bad like what's the word? Not bad press, but you know what I mean. Like he's had a few comments about him recently. But I like Dan personally, but he's not a wing back. I mean, what's he thinking playing Dan at wing back when you got? I mean, maybe Lintott wasn't fit, but Lintott's on the bench, right? And I just think playing a midfield where like Grout's obviously a good young talent, but is he strong enough to play in a team against the likes of Dan Hayfield for Torquay and Jordan Young, these experienced National League players, when he just can, he's just bless him, he's like what 5'7", 8. Free fair works hard, but you need someone in there in the midfield who's going to win tackles, put yourself about, make your presence known. And with him and Tate and Kai, it's just so weak in the middle. Like it was not surprising we got torn apart. And then when you've got one striker, oh sorry, two strikers up there, it just doesn't add any sort of weight to the midfield. And it was just it was just seen by the fact we just got absolutely walked through, absolutely trounced. So yeah, I think Tommy's got to take some accountability there as well. Like I was surprised he didn't say in his interview he got it wrong. Like I know the players have got to take a lot of blame, but we can't just ignore what impact the manager can have in that team as well. And he didn't really tweak it from what I could see. Like he didn't make changes like quickly, so he's got to take some blame too.
Bobbie.
Same as Miles, mate. I mean, It's just going to Torquay. Someone said it on Saturday. But going to Torquay and playing two up top is suicidal. And look what happened.
It worked last year. It
Pardon?
worked last year because we had some biting in midfield. Like last year's guy, I can't remember exactly what side it was, but I'd imagine it'd be something along the lines of
Similar to
Jack
that squad up
Clark.
there, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jack Clark, Brad Barry, and Dom. That's a midfield three, right?
That's filthy. That is absolute filth.
Precisely. Yeah, now up front you got players that are gonna work hard off the ball and knowing to press. I mean, we were so good pressing last season. Like it was absolutely beautiful to watch. Like the organisation on the press. Like I remember watching one game at home. I no idea who we played, but it was a goal kick for them, and they were trying to play out, and like they were like ready wolves at the edge of the box, ready to win the ball back. Yeah, we just don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tommy will get that right in time, no doubt, because he's a good coach. Like I gave him a bit of stick there, but end of the day, he knows what he's doing, right? He hasn't got a National League or FA Trophy for nothing, or got Kings named the second for nothing. He'll get it right, but yeah, I mean, the team last year, just everyone knew their jobs. Everyone was so organised, and even under Matt Gray this season, we just haven't really seen that at all. Everyone's just looked a bit lost on the pitch and lost the direction, and for their role too.
Shall we move on?
Yeah,
Torquay,
let's do that.
the nightmare at Plainmoor is over. And on Saturday, Hampton and Richmond at home. Now, obviously, Hampton are sitting there 5 points above us. What's your thoughts on that, Miles? First,
I don't really like to say must win because I think must win implies if you don't win, then something bad will happen, as in we'll go down or something. I don't want to put massive pressure on it, but it's a big game, right? Like Hampton and Richmond haven't been on the best of form recently. I'm not sure exactly what their form's like, but I know they're in sort of 17th currently. They had a good start, I think, but haven't really won much recently. Lost to Leatherhead in the FA Trophy, so they're definitely there to be got at. And can't forget as well, they've gonna have to play tomorrow night against Tunbridge away, or at home. I can't remember what it was. They're playing Tunbridge regardless. We've had a 4 weeks rest. Like there's no excuse on Saturday. Like you'd have thought after being absolutely trounced 7-0 that we'll come out with a massive amount of fight, especially that first 20 minutes. And I think if we do show that amount of fight and we do maybe score a few chances, the crowd will get behind us. I firmly believe that. But if we see the repeat of Saturday, then it's going to get toxic and agitated quickly. But yeah, absolutely crucial game.
Yeah. No, going back to what Miles said, Hampton are identical form to us currently, so they've only drawn one out their last five, and lost the rest. So
yeah,
you look at on paper on the form chart, you say yes, this could be this could be an even game, but you look at us and you can think we've just lost 7-0. Hampton can run rings around us. So
yeah, just to put a positive spin on the 7-0. Not that you really can, but to some extent. I mean, Brighton last season lost 7-0 to Nottingham Forest, probably about November time, I think it was. And then they went on an unbeaten run for about 8-9 games. So it can be the catalyst sometimes. I'm not sure we'll do that, but
get the Pro Club back going.
It could be like the sort of chance we need to a massive kick up the backside to get ourselves into gear. I mean, we've got Hampton on Saturday, which should be a winnable game. But then we go into a few really tough games like Dorking. We're not gonna be favourites for. Chelmsford are on a good run of form, and then we go into like the Christmas games. They were like Worthing, so it's not gonna be easy at all. But yeah, hopefully it'll be the kick up the backside we need.
yeah, and I agree. And Hampton are at home to Tunbridge tomorrow, so that'd be, again, there's Tunbridge are not doing that well at the moment, so someone's got to win, I suppose, because I think they're both on. Just having a quick look, I think they're both the last 5 games. They've literally lost 4 and drawn 1 each, whether that be league games or cup games. So. And then, of course, we play them. So, Hampton could nick a result tomorrow, or But I think, like you say, we've got a week now to prepare. We've got a week for. I mean, I'm sure Tommy in his interview said that his head's going to be going round and round and round, and I'm sure he's going to be, searching that network of players that he's got in his head, and I mean, he's one thing I've found about Tommy every time I've spoken to him, whether it was when he was manager here before or manager now, is he doesn't forget anything. He's very knowledgeable, and it's for me, he's the sort of guy that he can do the computer work in his head. He can think, right, I need that central midfielder that's going to be able to go from box to box, and he know that player in his head already. He doesn't need them, the stats to look it up. So we know that, look, Tommy's going to have he's going to have players in mind. He's openly said a number of times on interviews that there may be incomings, there may be outgoings. So whether we see any of them this week or not, but I think the biggest thing is we need to see that reaction from them players. So even if there's even if there's no personnel changes and it's the same 11 the same 11 players that start the game on Saturday, it's no good apologising to the fans and paying for the fans that have gone there and giving their ticket money back if you're going to do the same thing at home the next week. If you want to say sorry, for me, and I'm sure Tommy would be saying this we all heard it when we were kids. You say sorry, and your parents would say, prove it. And that's what we need to be saying to them players, is prove that you're sorry. Get out there and play like you're capable of playing football. Because I do, there's been talk about the signings, and obviously Tommy's spoken about them, and Simon mentioned them today, in his bit on Radio Sussex and whatever else. And there seems to be that there seems to be that divide at the moment, and we've got to get over that. And I think we're going to hear a lot from Tommy at the Meet the Manager night on Friday night. Looking forward to that. Probably more now than I was before, because I think Tommy is very honest, and he will tell us how this week's gone. But I definitely think that he will be saying to them players, look, the only way you can show that you're sorry is to get out there and prove it, to get out there and play the game of football to the capabilities that you've got. And even the youngsters, they're going to be seeing what's going on. Their mates are going to be taking the mick of them. You got battered 7-0, and that's going to hurt, right? That's going to hurt them as much as it hurts us, I believe. And if it doesn't, then serious questions, I think, need to be asked. But I think it does. So, listen, yeah, like I say, Hampton Saturday, Brighton are away. So, and I think one of the other poorer Eastbourne teams are away as well. So, what the crowd's going to be, I don't know. But I'm definitely looking for a lift on Saturday. Miles?
Need a home win. Need a home win.
We need a win, full stop.
Well, yeah, but we're home win especially. We haven't won at home since West Supermare, which feels like a lifetime ago. Which is just crazy. I mean, how many home games have we had in the meantime since then? Probably including the playoffs
20 so far.
Just about 10 then probably, which is just crazy after last season when we couldn't lose at home. It's the complete opposite. Yeah, but no, just going forward, I want to sort of say that I believe we'll not turn it around this season, because this season's just stay up, forget about it, right? But next season, I think for me, like both times we've got it wrong, like this season obviously and 23-24 initially under Beard, we just did our business just way too late. And I just really hope that we've learned from that. I know we had it the first time, we said we wouldn't do it again. Obviously circumstances changed for one reason or another with Adam, which led to us having to get Matt Gray on relatively short notice compared to when you want to start a new business, right? So I think give us a chance to stay up the season as the primary objective, of course, and then when Tommy can get his players in, I don't doubt we're back up in the playoffs next season if we can get it right in the summer. but the recruitment's just so crucial. Like I remember watching a bunch of amateurs and Mark White had a chat with I forget his name now. Who's the manager, Bob, that managed Chesterfield? Cook, something like that?
Paul Cook.
Paul Cook, that's not. I was gonna say Steve Cook, but that's not right. Yeah, he's the one that
He
played
used to
for
play
us,
for
isn't
us.
he? Yeah, yeah, Paul
Back in
Cook,
the
and he said
day.
that.
Showing
Yeah,
age.
yeah, yeah.
When we were good.
No, yeah, we're good last year. Yeah, but yeah, he was saying that like recruitment's nine tenths of the law. Like you can have all of the, tactics you want, or everything else. But if you haven't got the players in, you're not gonna be able to do the job right. You've got to have the right tools. Um, yeah, I just think the recruitment this year has been pretty shambolic. Like, there's probably only like 6 players, 7 players that we'd probably keep unanimously, if I can speak, as a fan base, which says a lot compared to last season's squad. You probably wanted to keep like a good 15 of those. I can't think about it, individually, but yeah. Long story short, I'm waffling a bit, but get it right in the summer, and we're back up where we want and hopefully deserve to be.
Yeah, Steve Cook, didn't he end up at Bournemouth? Or was it Brighton?
Yeah. No,
Bournemouth.
But we had one went to
Yeah, it's
Bournemouth and one went to Brighton,
Bournemouth.
didn't we? Who was the one who went to Brighton?
I don't know. I'm
We
showing
definitely
my age here, like being too
yeah, but
young.
Steve
But
Cook, yeah, Bournemouth. But no, I think what you've just said there, Miles, I think is about right. The whole um the whole Matt Gray thing and Mark Beard. Mark Beard came in and obviously we went from being full time to part time to full time. And there were players that just didn't want to commit to full time football, which is fair play. Listen, if they're earning more money by doing their day jobs and then playing football on the side, why would you take it? Why would you take a reduction, especially in the current climate? And even 2-3 years ago, you're not going to take a wage drop to be a professional footballer unless you're young, unless you're hungry, and you see it as a career that you might go on to them steps where you're going to be earning the serious big bucks. But when you've got players around the sort of mid-20s that probably know their level, and they're not young enough to go through the levels, then of course it's going to be a struggle. So obviously we struggle with Mark, but then when Adam came in, we know that the players that were recruited when they needed to be, and at the time we had a healthy squad size wise. I wouldn't say player wise, but we had a healthy squad size wise. And the owners dipped their hands in their pockets, and we got a few more players in, and then we had that massive season last year where we didn't really lose any players. And I still think that the whole turnaround in players this year, I was talking to Tom Torquay Talk actually on Saturday, down at in Boots and Laces, and we were saying that this year that there was so much social media action last year around our league, especially when it got so tight at the end, that actually every club in this league that was a part of that is actually a victim of their own success, because companies were watching that, obviously, because the money that's come into the league this year has grown astronomically. We've put our budget up by I think Alan said at the supporters club meeting that it was like 18%. Our budget is increased by, and we've gone from being in the top 3 to mid-table of budgets for this year. So that means that all them other teams have jumped ahead of us in the size of their budget, and that money's got to come from somewhere, right? So you've either got half of the league that are gambling on promotion this year, which after last year I don't think anybody would have done, because you could see that there were teams like Torquay, there were teams like Worthing, there were teams like us that went unbeaten at home. We was 1 goal away from winning the league, 1 goal away, and so were 3 or 4 other teams. So it's madness when you look at it like that, and I think that's generated more money coming into the league, which has allowed clubs to spend that little bit more on players. And obviously we lost a lot of our players. So all of a sudden there's all this money flying around the league. We're trying to bring in players And there was money underspent. Alan's. I think it was Alan or someone said, that there was money underspent on Matt's budget, and he just couldn't get the players in. But Matt wanted to do the recruiting himself. We're told. So
Yeah,
when
just shows the contacts that
but
keep.
he'd been out of the game for 18 months. Tommy hasn't. This is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to get to. Tommy hasn't. Tommy's been about the game. Tommy's won the trophy. Tommy, and for ex-players of Borough to be coming back, and I mean, I know Jono and Sam Cole personally. I haven't seen them for ages. First time I saw them was as soon as Tommy got announced. Back down the lane, and they've been down there twice. In both Tuesday night games because they can get there. They've been down there to watch and support, and you speak to them. Anyone can speak to them. They'll speak to anyone. They say, "What a man! What a manager!" So look, we've got to put our faith in Tommy. We've got to put our faith in the fact that he knows what players he needs. And I don't think that. You get a lot of people saying, "Oh, we signed too young" and whatever else. We did, but to sign them players, there must have been, they must have shown something. But remember, and Alan's openly said this to me. He said, "If we pick a manager, and a manager comes to me and says, I want to sign whoever." I cannot turn around to that man and say, "You're not going to sign him because he's not good enough." Because that's who the manager wants. And when you pick a manager and when you give a manager a budget, you have to back your manager until you can't back him anymore. And then you remove him, which is, or he removes himself, which is obviously what happened with Matt. So, they gave Matt the funds. Matt had a budget to go and get what he wanted. It just didn't work, right? So, you know, Tommy's obviously now got that budget. Whether that budget increases or not, I don't know. But I think you'll find what I'm trying to get at, I suppose, is when we had that season where we avoided the drop, in that changeover, we didn't lose many. And I can see Tommy picking players now, signing players now that he knows can do a job for him in this league, can get him out of this league, and can also probably do a job in the league above. And, look, like you said, Miles, it's not going to happen this year now. There's only mad people that decide to have a bet each way on Eastbourne
I'd say
Borough.
that is.
To
Yeah.
win the league.
I wonder. I
Yeah.
wonder. Actually, I've been. I did tell Tommy about my bet, and I was told to cash out, and I said it's only 10 pence, and he said everything's worth it, son.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So, listen. At the end of the day, we're not gonna. We're not gonna pull up nothing this year, but that we can build this year so that when it comes to next year we can have a bloody good go at it, right? A real good go at it. And when you see, I think if people haven't seen the forum today, somebody put on there about what happens if Simon goes, and Benji replied to it. And if you haven't seen that, read it.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, read it later on. But basically, he basically says, if you think we're going to quit because it's not going very well, you don't know this family, because we're not
No.
quitting. They're successful businessmen, and they're in it. They're in it to make a success of it. And he said in it, we promised you, a successful football club, and that's what we're going to deliver. So, look, at the end of the day, you've got to respect the owners. I know. Listen, again, I've said it before. I'm a West Ham fan. We've had trouble with our owners for years. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that they're the custodians basically of our club. And we, as much as I don't like Sullivan as much as I don't like Brady. It doesn't mean I don't want West Ham to do very well. And I'm not saying I don't like Simon and Alan, because actually I do. And I think there are some people out there that don't. But I think, again, approach these guys, talk to them, because they are very accommodating. They will talk to you. I don't know if they're going to be there on Friday night at the Meet the Manager night. I mean, I know Simon was. Simon wasn't at Torquay on Saturday because he was on a plane. So whether he's flying in, flying out, or whatever he's up to at the moment, I don't know. But look, if you get a chance to talk to these guys, just have a chat with them. You will be. People will be, pleasantly surprised. I'm sure of it.
Just on that as well, Baron. Like, I think there's got a couple of things to mention, particularly with Simon, because obviously he's the owner, right? Like, I do like back his vision. I know a lot of potentially like the sort of more longer term old school fans had a lot of resistance to the changes that were made. But end of the day, he's got the long term what's the word I'm looking for, vision, and you can clearly see he cares, is what I'm trying to say. Like, he's a passionate man, and as you say, he wouldn't want to give it up if things weren't going his way. And you can see the determination and the grit they've all got to turn around. Yes, they made like plenty of mistakes, as I'm well documented on the forum to point out. But I don't doubt that they're going to try a better rest to turn it around. And how good can it be when we do perform well? Like, I watched a documentary, and to be honest with you, I'm not going to lie, it made me a bit sad. Not watching. I didn't have a cry, but I was probably close at times, seeing the how he did so well last season, and seeing the massive crowds, like seeing the River End packed, and you sort of get stuck in this rut now, aren't you, of just us being terrible and like going along, and it's 700 people and it's rubbish and we lose and it's miserable. But just remembering how good it was, and we're not. I don't think we're that far away long term wise. Like, if you're talking like some clubs in our league, right? For example, like I don't know, not to pick on them, but like Chippenham, I don't know, I can't think of examples now, gone blank. But Hampton and Richmond, those sort of clubs, they aren't going anywhere, are they? Like, realistically, like, this is the best they can hope for. Whereas we've got a man that, whether he's deluded, some might say, over ambitious, but at least he's got some ambition. And I do believe that we'll get into the National League under his ownership. Where would be the Football League? I think maybe a bit of a stretch. We'll see, one step at a time, eh? But yeah, I believe in the project, but we've got a heck of a long way to go, right?
At least so. Bobbie, final comments?
Hopefully we win. That's all I've got. I hope just win on Saturday.
Love that from Bob.
That sums it up, Bob.
That sums up.
Sums it up a treat.
Yeah.
I mean, the comments from me, like I say, I just want to see a reaction from them players. I think that if we don't see a reaction, then serious questions need to be asked. But I'm sure we will. I'm sure they'll be working on a lot of things in training this week. A lot of what went wrong, trying to make that go right. And so, like I say, Saturday. But of course, remember, before Saturday, the man who sits in that seat there, we can meet him and ask him some questions down at the Priory Lane Club Friday night at 7 o'clock, is it, or 7:30? 7 o'clock. So if you're watching this, if you were disappointed about the result, you want to ask Tommy how he's what his plans are, or whatever. Like I say, the man who sits in that seat there, sits down for a little while anyway before he jumps up. He will be at the club on Priory Lane on Friday night, 7 o'clock. Meet the manager night. Get yourself down. I think it's 2 for 1 on burgers as well. So bring a mate and you can have a burger. Get there nice and early and get your seat and your questions ready. So,
and if you're from Aldershot as well and you're still bitter about Tommy leaving, please come down, because it'd be quite fun to laugh at you.
I think Tommy said that I think Tommy's quite looking forward to seeing maybe 1 or 2 if they do turn up. But yeah, so like I say, see you there Friday night. If you're not there Friday night, see you Saturday. Let's get down the lane. Let's support the boys at the Connect Management Stadium, and then hopefully we can get that first home victory. We're going to start trying to do these every Monday night, so look out for them. They'll either be released on a Monday night or a Tuesday morning, so that's the plan now. We're going to start doing them weekly. So we would only have the one game to talk about, so they will be a little bit shorter. I mean, obviously this one's been a bit longer. So see you later from me.
See you later.
Please let us smile next week, Borough. Just give us
And-
something to be positive about. We don't want to moan about you. Please let us be happy.
Win for me
That's my
fucking
final
football.
message.
I've got
Yeah,
surgery
come.
on Tuesday. Please win.
You
Yeah.
got what?
I've got surgery on Tuesday, next Tuesday. Please win.
Oh,
I
I'll do it for Bobby.
No, I
Yeah,
don't want to sit
Come on,
drugged
do it.
up.
That's it. Do it for Bobby. Do it for
Yeah.
Bobby.
Do it for
So-
tonsillitis.
Yeah. And he can eat what he wants after that, apparently. But there you
I
go.
can eat
Right.
today, mate.
Anyway, take care, guys. See you either Friday or Saturday. Up the Borough.